Welcome back to the channel. USA Coins 69, ordinary, it's easy to overlook. But what if that same little coin in your hand was holding a secret that could change your life? Today, we're going to take a deep dive into the fascinating, unpredictable world of coin collecting and reveal the incredible story of one of the most overlooked treasures in American currency, the 1966 Lincoln penny. Yes, you heard that right. A penny. But not just any penny, one minted in 1966, a year full of transformation, both in American history and within the U.S. Mint itself. And while most people walk right past these copper coins without a second glance, serious collectors know that the 1966 penny can sometimes be worth more than its weight in gold, literally. But what makes a simple 1-cent coin from 1966 so special? Why are collectors, experts, and auction houses still talking about it decades later? Let's unravel the mystery. First, let's set the stage. The year 1966 was an important one for U.S. coinage. The country was still adjusting to the massive changes brought about by the Coinage Act of 1965, which had eliminated silver from most circulating coins. At the same time, the U.S. Mint was under heavy pressure to meet demand and to prevent coin hoarding. Yes, hoarding was a real issue during this time due to fears about disappearing precious metals. As a result, the Mint decided to suspend the use of mint marks from 1965 to 1967. That means the 1966 penny doesn't show a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. All 1966 cents were struck without a mint mark, even though production still occurred at multiple locations. So right away, we have a year of coins that lacks one of the key identifiers most collectors rely on, and that already adds a layer of complexity and interest. But it gets more fascinating. The 1966 Lincoln penny was minted using the familiar composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc, with a weight of 3.11 grams. While hundreds of millions were produced that year, not all of them were perfect. In fact, a very small number came out of the mint with errors, the kind of errors that drive collectors wild. One such error involves double die obverse varieties, where the die that strikes the coin was imprinted incorrectly, causing a visible doubling of the design elements. Imagine looking at the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust" on a penny and seeing a second, faint but clear shadow of each letter. That kind of visible doubling turns a regular coin into a rare prize, but that's not the only thing to look for. There are also examples of 1966 Lincoln cents that exhibit off-center strikes, where the coin was not properly aligned during minting, resulting in a crescent-shaped blank space. Then there are broad strikes, where the coin was struck outside the collar, causing it to spread and appear unusually wide and misshapen. And one of the rarest anomalies of all? A 1966 Lincoln penny struck on the wrong planchet, meaning it was minted on a blank intended for a dime or even a foreign coin. These mistakes can escape unnoticed by the Mint's quality control and end up in circulation, where lucky individuals stumble across them, often without realizing what they found. But wait, we're not done yet. The condition of the coin is another critical factor. While many pennies from 1966 still survive today, few are in pristine, untouched condition. Most have been handled, dropped, spent, or tossed into jars, leaving them scratched, dull, or worn. But the rare 1966 Lincoln cents that have been preserved in mint state condition, especially those graded MS 65 or higher, are the ones that attract major attention. These are the coins that glimmer with original red or red-brown luster, free from contact marks and damage. Combine that level of quality with a rare minting error, and suddenly, you're not looking at just a penny anymore, you're looking at a collector's dream. Now imagine this: you're at a yard sale, or maybe sorting through a coin jar at home, and you spot a bright 1966 penny. It looks a little different. Something about the lettering seems doubled. You weigh it, and the weight is slightly off. Maybe you even notice that the edge doesn't look like the other pennies. Could it be? Could you be holding a rare specimen? The next step is crucial: sending it to a trusted third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC. These professionals will evaluate the coin under expert conditions, verify its authenticity, determine its condition, and assign a grade that can dramatically affect its value. And then comes the magic moment: the appraisal. This is when collectors and auctioneers compete, placing bids, raising offers, and chasing after that one rare coin. A coin that, to most people, is worth only a single cent, but to the right buyer, with the right error, in the right condition, it's worth a fortune. And this isn't just a hypothetical story. It really happened. A stunning example of the 1966 Lincoln penny, featuring a rare striking error, in immaculate condition, was discovered, authenticated, and sold at auction. The final price, $84,000. That's right. $84,000 for one single penny. Today, let's take a closer look at a coin that most Americans have seen or handled, but very few truly understand: the Lincoln 1-cent penny from the year 1980. At first glance, it looks like every other penny. Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile facing right, the dates stamped clearly, and just below or beside it, a tiny letter marking its origin, the mint mark. But what hides behind that tiny copper coin is a story of rarity, craftsmanship, and the unpredictable world of coin errors that could make this humble cent incredibly valuable. So sit back, open your eyes wide, and prepare to be amazed, because you may never look at your spare change the same way again. The year 1980 was a transitional time for U.S. currency. Technology was evolving at the U.S. Mint. Production numbers were high, with millions and millions of Lincoln cents rolling out from the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. If you find a 1980 penny with a D mint mark, it was made in Denver. If there's no mint mark at all, then it likely came from Philadelphia, which did not stamp mint marks on cents at the time. And of course, coins with an S mark came from San Francisco, often proof coins with extraordinary detail and finish. The composition of the 1980 penny was still the classic 95% copper and 5% zinc formula. This was before the changeover in 1982, when pennies switched to a primarily zinc core with a copper coating due to the rising cost of copper metal. So the 1980 penny is part of the last few years of true copper Lincoln cents, which already makes it a little more desirable to collectors who love the original feel and weight of a solid copper coin. But let's get into what really matters: what makes the 1980 penny special? What makes it valuable? Why would anyone, anywhere, pay thousands, maybe tens of thousands, for a 1-cent piece? The answer lies in a combination of minting errors, rarity, condition, and most importantly, demand. Imagine a coin struck ever so slightly off-center, just enough to create a visible crescent of blank space on one side. Or a coin with a double die, where Lincoln's face, or the lettering around it, appears to be printed twice, giving it a ghost-like shadow effect. These errors, although accidental, are incredibly rare, and they often escape the mint's quality control. Now picture a 1980 penny with a broad strike error, where the coin was not held securely in the collar during striking, causing it to expand wider than usual. Or a penny accidentally struck on the wrong planchet, say, a dime's blank. These kinds of rare mint mistakes are exactly what collectors dream about. And then there's the strike quality itself. Most pennies circulate rapidly, scraping through vending machines, coin jars, cash registers, and pockets. They pick up dings, scratches, and lose their luster. But a few, a very rare few, escape circulation altogether. These coins, stored immediately or preserved in coin rolls, can remain in almost perfect condition. A mint-state example of a 1980 penny, especially one graded MS-67 or higher by professional grading services, becomes a true collector's gem. Color also plays a huge role in grading and value. A full red, RD, designation, meaning the penny has retained its bright copper color since the day it was struck, adds significant value. Red-brown, RB, and brown, BN, coins are still collectible, but not as desirable. So a red 1980 penny, with a clean surface, strong strike, and sharp details, already holds some serious value in the eyes of numismatists. Then there's the human factor, the story, the context, and the mystery of where a coin has been. Every rare coin has a tale behind it. Some are found in old coin jars passed down through generations. Others are discovered during routine coin roll hunting, when someone buys rolls of pennies from a bank and sifts through them one by one, searching for that diamond in the rough. But the real surprise comes when that coin is appraised. Imagine walking into a coin show or sending your coin to PCGS or NGC, the most respected grading services in the world, and learning that what you thought was a regular penny is actually something much more. The kind of coin that gets featured in auction catalogs. The kind of coin that people talk about for years, because sometimes, all it takes is one rare variation, one minting error, one perfect strike, one uncirculated specimen, and the value skyrockets, and it happened. A 1980 Lincoln penny, featuring a rare error and preserved in nearly flawless condition, stunned experts at auction. With bidding war after bidding war, and collectors competing fiercely for ownership, the humble coin reached a jaw-dropping final price. That single copper penny, once worth 1 cent, sold for $80,000. Let that sink in for a moment. 1 cent, transformed into $80,000. So the next time you reach into your pocket or sort through a pile of pennies at home, pause for just a second. Examine that 1980 penny. Look at the details. The color. The condition. You never know what you might be holding. That it could be a common coin, or it could be the most valuable penny you've ever touched. Today, people wouldn't give it a second glance, yet it holds history, mystery, and maybe even a hidden fortune. That something is a coin, more specifically, a simple 1-cent Lincoln penny minted in the year 1963. Now, you might be wondering, what's so special about a penny from 1963? After all, it's just a copper coin, right? Millions were made. It's not made of silver or gold. It's not even that old compared to other historic coins. But here's the truth that shocks collectors and everyday people alike. Some of these 1963 Lincoln pennies are worth thousands, even tens of thousands, of dollars. So how did this happen? Let's unravel this fascinating tale. The year 1963 was a time of major change in America. President John F. Kennedy was still in office, the civil rights movement was in full swing, and the space race was heating up. But deep in the heart of the U.S. Mint, something else was happening, the routine production of Lincoln cents, just like every year since 1909 when Abraham Lincoln's image first appeared on the 1-cent coin. Now, here's what makes this specific penny unique. The 1963 Lincoln penny continued the tradition of being made from 95% copper and 5% zinc, giving it that classic reddish tone and familiar weight that collectors love. But while the metal content and design remained consistent, what varies is the mint mark, condition, and unexpected errors that only a few sharp-eyed collectors ever notice. Let's start with the mint mark. If your penny has a small d beneath the date, that means it was minted in Denver. If there's no mint mark, it came from the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally did not use a mint mark on pennies. While both versions are relatively common, it's what happens during the minting process that turns an average coin into an extraordinary one. Imagine a machine stamping thousands of coins per minute. It's bound to misfire every once in a while, right? Sometimes the dies used to strike the design onto the coin shift slightly, creating a double die. This results in coins where the lettering, like, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty," appears twice or slightly shadowed. These double die errors are among the most valuable and sought after by collectors. Another possible mistake? Off-center strikes, where the image of Lincoln is pushed to one side, leaving part of the coin blank. Or broad strike errors, where the coin expands beyond its normal size because it wasn't properly held during the strike. These rare misprints make the coin stand out, and skyrocket in value, and then there's the planchet error. Occasionally, a penny is struck on a blank meant for a different coin, like a dime or even a foreign coin. These types of errors are extremely rare, and when they occur on a 1963 penny, they can make that 1-cent piece worth a small fortune. But let's not forget the most important factor of all, condition. Most pennies you find in circulation have been through decades of wear, scratches, nicks, fading luster. They've passed through hands, pockets, and coin jars for over 60 years. But some 1963 pennies escaped all that. They were stored right after being minted, untouched, shiny, and perfectly preserved. These are the coins that collectors call mint state, or MS coins, coins graded MS 65, MS 66, or even MS 67 are extremely rare for older pennies, especially if they still have that brilliant red color, the original luster of fresh copper. A red MS 67 penny from 1963 with no flaws? That's the kind of treasure coin dealers dream about. now here's where the real surprise kicks in. Some of these 1963 Lincoln pennies with incredibly rare errors, combined with flawless condition and eye-popping red brilliance, have fetched unbelievable prices at auction. These coins aren't just collectibles, they're investment pieces. Their value continues to rise as fewer of them remain in pristine condition. Collectors across the globe compete to own them, and competition means bidding wars. So what happened when a 1963 Lincoln penny, rare, perfectly preserved, and featuring a notable mint error, was offered to the highest bidder? The price didn't just climb. It soared, and in the final moments of that auction, with experts watching and collectors holding their breath, the hammer dropped at a stunning price. That single 1-cent Lincoln penny from 1963 sold for an astonishing $89,000, yes, from a single cent, to $89,000. Today, we journey into the world of the 1961 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a small piece of metal that carries the legacy of a nation and, in rare cases, a hidden fortune. Let's go back to 1961, a time of hope, transition, and transformation in the United States. John F. Kennedy had just become president, and Americans were filled with a renewed sense of energy. The space race had taken off, cultural revolutions were brewing, and behind the scenes, the United States Mint continued its job of supplying the nation with the coins it needed for daily commerce. Among the millions of coins struck that year was a modest, copper-colored penny featuring the timeless image of President Abraham Lincoln. At first glance, it looked just like every other cent made since 1909. But appearances can be deceiving, because not all 1961 pennies are the same. The 1961 Lincoln penny was minted in both Philadelphia and Denver. If you find a small D under the date on the front, that's your clue that the coin came from the Denver Mint. If there's no mint mark, it was made in Philadelphia. While that may seem like a small detail, it plays a huge role in determining a penny's rarity and value. You see, although hundreds of millions of these coins were minted, only a tiny fraction survived in pristine condition, and an even smaller number feature rare and valuable minting errors. These are the coins that serious collectors chase. These are the coins that auctions fight over. And these are the coins that can be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Let's talk about what makes the 1961 penny special. First, consider the metal composition. This was one of the last decades where U.S. pennies were made using 95% copper and 5% zinc, giving them their rich reddish hue and weight that newer pennies don't have. That alone gives older Lincoln cents a nostalgic charm, but here's the twist. When errors occur during the minting process, value skyrockets. A misaligned die can cause a double die penny, where the letters and numbers look like they were stamped twice, a shadowy, duplicated effect. Some 1961 pennies show doubling in the words, "Liberty" or "In God We Trust." These double dies are incredibly valuable, especially in higher grades. Then there's the off-center strike, when a coin isn't perfectly aligned during minting. If part of Lincoln's head is cut off or the design is pushed to one side, you may be looking at a valuable off-center error coin. Die cracks, die chips, and even repunched mint marks, where the D was stamped more than once, creating a shadow effect, all increase a coin's appeal and value. These imperfections, though rare, turn ordinary coins into extraordinary treasures, but none of that matters if the coin isn't in excellent condition. Collectors use a grading scale to evaluate coins, from well-worn, good condition to flawless, mint state, coins graded MS 60 and above. A 1961 penny graded MS 65, MS 66, or even MS 67 red, meaning it still glows with that original red copper color, is highly desirable. Now imagine combining those two factors, a 1961 penny that's error-struck and in perfect mint condition. That's the dream. That's what collectors crave. And that's exactly the kind of coin that has commanded record-breaking prices in auctions. Some of these rare error coins are not just preserved, they are museum-worthy. Discovered in original bank rolls, or tucked away by collectors who recognized their importance decades ago, they resurface today like long-lost relics. And when they do, they don't go unnoticed. Auction houses, coin dealers, and investors all sit up when such a coin appears. In one particularly thrilling auction, a bidder saw the opportunity to own one of these elusive treasures, a 1961 Lincoln penny, struck with precision, preserved in stunning condition, and bearing a significant mint error. After a flurry of bids and rising tension in the room, the final gavel struck. That 1-cent coin, once nearly forgotten in a drawer or a coin roll, was sold for a jaw-dropping sum of $79,000. Yes, that's right, from just a single cent to 79,000 US dollars. A leap that defies logic, unless you understand the world of rare coins, and that's the magic of collecting. You never know which penny could be the one. That small copper coin in your change, that roll of cents you've been saving, or that old jar passed down from a grandparent, any of them could be hiding an unexpected gem. Today, we turn our attention to a small copper treasure that has captivated collectors for decades, the 1967 Lincoln 1-cent coin. This is not just a penny. It's a piece of American history, a potential goldmine, and for some lucky collectors, a ticket to unexpected riches. So, sit tight and get ready, because what you're about to discover may just have you digging through your own coin collection tonight. The year is 1967. America is in the midst of transformation. The civil rights movement is in full swing. The Vietnam War dominates the headlines. Music, culture, and the American spirit are evolving fast. And in the background of these great societal shifts, the U.S. Mint quietly continues its mission, to produce the coins that keep the economy moving. But 1967 was not a typical year at the Mint. This was the final year of a 3-year period, from 1965 to 1967, when the U.S. Mint intentionally left off mint marks from all its coins, including the penny. That means every 1967 Lincoln penny has no visible mint mark, whether it was minted in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. Why? Because the Mint was trying to discourage coin hoarding by collectors chasing rare mint mark varieties. This simple change created a unique chapter in coin collecting history, and made 1967 Lincoln cents one of the most mysterious and intriguing issues of the Lincoln series. But what does this mean for collectors today? It means that in the absence of mint marks, other factors became more important than ever: errors, condition, color, and scarcity. And when all of these align in a single coin, that's where value explodes. Let's break it down. The 1967 Lincoln penny features the iconic profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, just as it had since 1909. The reverse still displays the classic Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959 to replace the original wheat ears. On the surface, the 1967 penny looks like just another coin in the endless river of cents produced by the U.S. Mint, but beneath the copper surface lies the potential for hidden fortune. Most 1967 pennies were struck using the standard bronze alloy, 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc. But even though over 3 billion were made, very few were preserved in pristine, untouched condition. And even fewer feature the types of mint errors that can skyrocket a penny's value into the thousands. What types of errors should you be looking for? Let's talk about double dies, a collector's dream. This error occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned or impressed more than once, resulting in a doubling effect on the lettering or date. A 1967 Lincoln penny with a double die obverse, especially in the words, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty," is extremely rare and highly sought after. Next up, off-center strikes. Imagine a coin where Lincoln's face is shifted dramatically to the side, or where part of the coin's design is completely missing. The more off-center the strike, the more valuable the coin, especially if the date is still visible. Then there are die breaks, die cracks, and cut errors, where extra metal appears raised on the surface due to damage or imperfections in the die. Some 1967 pennies show dramatic die cracks or bulges that collectors go wild for, but none of these errors mean much without one other crucial factor: condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, untouched coin. Most pennies in circulation today fall in the 1 to 40 range, worn down from years of handling. But a 1967 penny graded MS 65 or higher, especially with a bold red copper color, is a gem in every sense of the word. Coins with the RD, red, designation are the most valuable, followed by RB, red-brown, and BN, brown. A 1967 Lincoln penny in full red color and mint state condition is a rare find, but add in a major error, and now you're talking about a coin that collectors will battle over in high-stakes auctions. Now picture this: a collector stumbles upon a 1967 Lincoln penny, buried for decades in an original bankroll. It's untouched, its red shine still glistening like the day it was minted. But upon closer inspection, there's something strange. The letters, Liberty, are slightly off. There's doubling on the date. A faint but unmistakable die crack runs through the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. The coin is sent in for grading. It comes back MS-67 red, with a confirmed double die error. What happens next? News spreads fast in the numismatic world. Auction houses make calls. Bids come in from around the country. Coin collectors, investors, and museum curators want a piece of this once-in-a-generation find, and when the final gavel drops at the auction, jaws hit the floor. That little copper coin, struck in 1967 and hidden in plain sight for over half a century, is now worth a staggering $85,000. Yes, $85,000 for a single 1-cent coin. So the next time you receive a penny in change, or come across an old jar of coins at a garage sale, don't overlook the simple ones. That unassuming 1967 Lincoln penny, with no mint mark and a decades-old shine, could be a treasure hiding in plain sight. Make sure to check your change, inspect those coins under a magnifying glass, and don't underestimate the power of a little copper cent. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your fellow collectors and treasure hunters. There are stories hidden in every coin, and maybe, just maybe, the next story belongs to you. Stay curious, keep collecting, and who knows, the next penny you pick up could change your life.